Well. I think I finally figured it out. Wow, I've been trying to accomplish this for quite some time. I'll wait and see if anybody got the message and tune in. But I'm looking forward to sharing this testimony in reference to um, the title, which is Apostasy Behavior Corrected from A to Z. So I'm finally looking forward to hopefully being able to accomplish making this successful. Oh, hi, Barama. Divine greetings. Hey, Lady Lotus, divine greetings. I finally accomplished getting on here live by myself. Wow. Did you all receive the text or did you receive the notification through subscription or my YouTube channel? Oh, greetings, Australian original. Blessed. Welcome. Oh, you did, Lady Lotus? You received both of them? That's good. What about you, Barama? Um, wow. It's like popping up here in Australia original. You got the notification through subscription. Well, I'm glad to see that it's actually working because you all wouldn't believe what I've been going through trying to figure this out. It's been like 2 years since I've actually attempted to do a live broadcast, but it didn't work out too good. So I've been trying and I finally made it. I'm glad to see some familiar faces attached to your names. Um, and then Australian original. Welcome to my feed. I haven't had the pleasure of actually meeting you. At least I don't remember. You can refresh my memory. But nevertheless, welcome. And let's see. So Alex Little, greetings. Welcome. It's good to see you here. Thank you for coming. Let's see who else. Let's see. So Australia, original. Are you still in Australia? Oh, greetings, Lioness Pride. Welcome. It's good to see you. You all finally get to see me live instead of just hearing my voice. So it's a pleasure. And I don't know necessarily how to go about eventually taking calls. I don't see anything on here where you can connect like how Lance Scarf program does, where you can call in. If anybody knows how to do that, put it in the chat so I can figure it out. Because eventually, I do want to, um, get some feedback and that we can actually conversate together. Because sometimes, once I get wound up, I don't really pay that much attention to the chat room. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to do my best. And let's see. So, King Wage, welcome. Glad to have you here. Thanks for coming, being a part of this um, opportunity. I finally, like I was telling, I finally made it to figure it out on my own how to go live instead of waiting for somebody to accept me on their live program. The Divine Mother basically told me to do it myself. So here I am, and by her divine guidance, I was finally able to make it work. So thank you, you all, for being here. So I know it's been a while since you all heard from me. A lot's been going on. But believe me, I've been attempting to be on the platform of Lance Scarf, but that just wasn't working out. I wasn't really getting any responses, but I'm glad to have finally made it a point to just buckle down and follow the divine spirit. And she telling me to create my own. Divine greetings, Redbird 101. Blessings. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have. I really wasn't expecting this type of turnout, so I'm glad to be still in you all's hearts, in your mind. Thank you for accepting the invitation, for being here. This is a well um, needed subject that needs to be addressed because I've been trying to get it going on um, for quite some time. You know, there's a lot of information that's going across the internet and various other media aspects. And, you know, I have been given much, but at the same time, when much is given, much is required. And I was so overwhelmed with all of the information, you know, that the Divine Mother was giving me ever since my awakening in 2002. But she's been really piling it on since 2017 in reference to preparation for my season of how she's going to be using me in a um, mighty way. And I was overwhelmed in the things that she was revealing to me. And I wanted to make sure, as a little child, you know, you want to please your parents. You don't want them to have to be upset with you, or, you know, you don't want to be disciplined. You just truly want to be embraced in their care and their guidance. So that's the type of relationship, and that's what I look forward to when the divine. Oh, your awakening also happened in 2017. Australian original. Well, mine's actually started in 2002, but the I would say like the empowerment of the subject matter in reference to the focus on the Divine Mother and the awakening and the arising of her seed, for those who have ears to hear and understand and eyes to see and perceive, with a heart that is receptive to what the divine spirit is sending forth to empower her children. She's been really putting it on in reference to her purpose and her presence and the awakening and the uprising um, in a time such as this. As I was saying, there's a lot of information going out. So, and I have a confirmation just about on everything, you know, that most people were posting. So I was like getting like, wow, you know, it's like I have all this information. So I was assuming that I too was supposed to be focused on the same subject matters. But the divine had to actually reveal to me that what's needed in this present time of eternity is my own personal testimony, and then understanding why she has chosen me for this particular task. Because in order for you to deliver a testimony. You must have a testimony, and you must be able to not be hypocritical, trying to tell somebody what is unacceptable, and yet you're still doing it yourself. So you have to be victorious over your past tense in order to be a pretense as an example for the divine to use you in an effective way. So the divine spirit is telling me my greatest asset is what she actually delivered me from. Because, in order to have a divine destiny and a purified legacy, first and foremost, for something to be purified, it must be filthy. It must be covered in like some dirt or some soot, so the activation of the refining fire can work in its divine purpose. So, as you all already know, that I shared a few of my undisciplined behaviors in my life. So now she wants me to actually go through my well, from A to Z, the apostasy behaviors that needed correcting, so she can take me to that other level to take us higher. If you're in tune with your chakras, the very top is your crown chakra. So it takes a whole different way of thinking, speaking, and doing things in life in order to receive that crown chakra. So can you all hear me clearly? Got some cleaning to do. Rama Baba, you said it must be. Got some cleaning to do. It's a beautiful thing in all actuality, to know that somebody loves you so much in spite of what we try to hide, and what we think is nobody else's business but our own. Remember our divine mother. She's the life giver and she's the life sustainer, and she is concerned about our lives. And since she grants us the source of life to be present, she wants to make sure that it's maintained and sustained. So she's going to be that omnipresent um, counselor, judge, jury, and executioner when need be. And that doesn't make our divine mother bad or evil. It's like when it's time to be disciplined, actually, it's rooted in love. I think there's a proverb that says, spare the rod, spare the child, or something to that case. And if you discipline them at home, they don't have to be disciplined in the street where there is no love. And then they can, wound up actually being defeated, because they care not about who or how you may respond to a situation. When a person gets to the point where they feel like they're going to be combative because you've done something to them, their mind is already made up what the outcome can be. So it is important that our divine mother, even in her unconditional love, that unconditional love has a condition to it. I mean, she would never fall out of love with us, but in order to us to remember and maintain and sustain that love and show her back that we too love her, then she has to be the hand of counsel and discipline, because she loves us. Now, some of us, may have, like myself, my mother, she left me when I was 6 weeks old. Me and my twin brother, and I had another sister at the time, but I wasn't old enough to show any disapproval at 6 weeks old. But growing up without a mother, we do experience an emptiness, a loneliness, and then we start, looking at ourselves like if something is wrong with us. Why, would she leave us? What's wrong with me? And then sometimes we can overthink and then not necessarily be about us. It's a decision was made of a grown person. They're the ones who chose to walk away, and we were the innocent child that wound up with the consequences of that decision. And see, that curse or that process didn't end with my mother. My I've done the same thing, and like I had got pregnant from a rape situation, and but I chose to keep the baby. I didn't even the thought of abortion. I don't even think I knew anything about abortions. You know, but the thought of giving up my child wasn't even a um, a thought at the time. But when you have a daddy who is raising you, and he always tell you stories about your mother. Yeah, it was a cycle. Yeah, the cycle continued, but thank goodness it ended when I continued the testimony. But the divine, she allowed me to um, recognize that the cycle continued, and when the power of the tongue, when somebody is constantly telling you, you're just like your mother, you're just like your mother, but you're telling your child that your mother was abusive. You're telling your child that your mother was combative. You're telling your child that your mother was a gypsy and didn't care about anybody or anything but herself. I mean, everything that would come out of my daddy's mouth in reference to about my mother was something very negative. But I was a child and didn't understand. Am I buffing? Is it like spinning? Because on my end, Baba, everything is moving clearly. But then again, I don't know how it's working on you all's end. Um, okay. So, uh, wow. Oh, okay. So, excuse me. So when I finally give birth to my baby, I didn't understand or know that particular seed, verbally was present within me. It was a planted seed. So my baby, within like less than 3 months, I found myself one time. That's all it took was one time because I wasn't going to. Because what I wound up resulting to and doing to my child to the point where she stopped breathing. Ugh, where she stopped breathing, and I just threw up my hands and I waited for the foster mother because I was living in a foster home at the time, and she always spent more time with my baby than I did. And this particular day, she left the house and I didn't know she was gone. And I don't know if that's what triggered it because I wasn't accustomed to tending to my baby because she seemed like she was like always constantly there, taking the baby out of my hand. So one thing led to another. And when I was abusive to my child, she stopped breathing. And maybe like about 5 minutes later, which I pretty much gave up and decided, well, when she come back, she'll find me and she's going to call the police and I'll go to jail and I deserve anything that they do to me. If they, I was thinking the worst, electrocution or lethal injection or whatever the case may be, because I'm actually seeing my baby um, turning purple and she's just not there. So when the lady come home, she didn't come straight to my room, but all of a sudden, when I think I verbally said, um, I think I might have said the word God, um, because I wasn't really into the lifestyle. I wasn't going to church, or I wasn't into any religion or anything of that nature because of what I caught my daddy, who was a preacher, what I caught him doing, and what tried to do the same to me at 7 years old. That pretty much turned off any relationship with church, because if you can stand up in a pulpit and proclaim about God and love and respect and this, that, and the other, but then you're at home sexually abusing your daughter and then trying to do the same to your baby girl, then I just have a closed ear. I don't have, and I became like what he said, the child of the what he called the DEVIL, because I was very rebellious after that point when I found out what he was doing to my sister and tried to do the same for me. So when my baby, I happened at the foot of my bed, I saw movement, you all. I saw movement in my heart stop beating like really, really fast. And so I was trying to do, what I saw. I was like 16. I think I was 16 years old, 16 or 17. But nevertheless, so I started trying to do what I saw on TV, where you press on the chest, and I was breathing in her mouth, and I was like patting her on the back and everything. And then all of a sudden, her complexion started coming back, and then I immediately called my social worker, and I was like, "You need to come and get my baby." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Don't ask me any questions. I'll tell you once you get here, but you need to come and get my baby." So she finally made it there, and then that's when the lady of the house was like, "What's going on? Why is this your social worker here?" And I asked her to leave from my room, so I can talk to my social worker privately first. And then I told my social worker I found out something about me that I didn't know was there, and I just abused my baby, and I want you to take her away from me because I believe it's better for me to give her up so she can live than to stay with me and then this happen again and then she not be able to come back like she just did because I explained to her my daughter was gone. I mean, she wasn't breathing for like 5 minutes or maybe even a little longer. So she wound up taking my baby, and she wound up in a foster home, and she wound up getting adopted. But the blessing of it is like when she turned 20, I think she was like 22 years old, she made the decision to come look for her mommy. And I'm grateful at the time that she come looking for me is after the divine spirit intervened in my life and changed my life around because I wouldn't wanted her to find me the way I was before the divine mother showed up and showed out and just like that just turned my life around in matter of seconds, or like what some people say in a twinkling of an eye. And like I said and shared before, it's like I was at home minding my own business, and I wasn't thinking about no God. I wasn't looking for no God, and I definitely wasn't living for no God. And when my daughter decided that she wants to see her mommy and meet her mommy, um, I was a totally different person. And the first thing she did, she told me she loved me. She told me she loved me and she doesn't hold any of it against me. And so we have a relationship, but at the same time, because I'm on this level of consciousness, and she was raised in um, a Christian religious home, she's not on the same page. But you know how they always say that the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So I know if I can be interceded by the Divine Mother, and I wasn't even looking for her, then this, if in her time, she too, if she truly is looking and seeking truth, because we used to be friends on Facebook, but unfortunately, from her perspective, the type of info and consciousness that I was posting on her page, she befriended me. So for like 2 years, I was out of touch with my daughter, but she come in and out. You know, she'll say hello and different things. But I'm definitely grateful that the Divine Mother chose to clean me up before my daughter found me. You know, when I used to drink and smoke and snort and shoot and, you know, lie and steal and carry guns and carry knives. And when I was a stripper and a lesbian and I was abusive to old and unfortunately young, 2-footed and 4-footed. I was abusive to even animals, you know. Um, but the Divine Mother, she already knows our thoughts before we think them, our words before we speak them, our upstanding, our laying down when we're at work and when we're at play. And the universe is unmeasurable, just like her infinite intelligence and her omnipresence and her omnipotence and her omnipotence and her benevolence. Um, the universe is unmeasurable to make room for our mistakes, you know. But she already know, and our consciousness and our desire for the divine spirit to she knows her children. She knows her seed. And we are the descendants of the free woman before the patriarchal dominant society. So that's what she's awakening in her children, sons and daughters now. Is not according to the bondwoman who doesn't have an issue staying up under the patriarchal system, but it's not the system or the governance that was appointed, you know, from the very beginning. So count it all joy that you're open to this type of consciousness because we already know. I don't know how many have and have not um, read the what is it? It's supposed to be the Book of Revelations, the Apocalypse. You know, the prophecies that our ancestors, as the Sibyls, had all the prophecies. Actually, all the prophecies in the Bible are actually originated from our African Sibyls. The Greeks, they call them prophetesses and prophets, but they were known as sibyls. They were speakers of the oracles, a divine straight connection with the divine wisdom and consciousness of the universe, the cosmos, as well as in tune with Mother Earth. So our divine mother is awakening up that remnant. You know, a lot of people are focused on trying to get every melanated person to unite. Well, that's not what time it is because she's the one who's actually bringing that conscious remnant together. And it's not something to debate about. It's actually something to unite over because we already have enough of the consciousness of who it is, what we are, and what our purpose is. So it's not even our job as individuals to go out and look to try to bring people together. It's already going to happen simply because the divine is the one who ordains our steps. If we acknowledge her in all that we do, she's the one who directs our steps accordingly. Now, I actually kind of got a little beside myself because I like to open up and um, make a proclamation and salutations, binding any of those wicked spirits that may be among us. Because even though the platform is open to family and friends, I always like to give a message to the foes. So um, I'm trying to figure out how you do a double screen. Australian Original says, I absolutely love when you speak of the Divine Mother. Oh, I've never heard of her before. Oh, until you spoke of her on the Lance Scarf show. Oh, oh yes. I never knew she existed either, but she just made herself known to me. And it's kind of like it was like when my mother, my natural mother, um, left me at 6 weeks old. I was the type of child that I would even ask. Um, I would ask like my teachers, "Are you my mother?" I can be in the grocery store and like, "Are you my mother?" I can be like standing at the corner and waiting across the street, and some woman come past me, and I'm like, "Are you my mother?" There was a void in me, and even though I didn't quite understand what it was all about, um, it was the divine um, connection that my heart, my inner spirit, my inner child, that innocent child that was sent here in this realm that would never grow old. Because, see, that's the one that we have to make a connection with in order to be in the presence of the divine cosmic um, mother. It's because, grown people, when they get to an age where they feel like you can't tell them nothing, and they don't listen for advice or anything, those type of characteristics will not be able to enter into the infinite mind of the divine. Because once you feel like you know it all, then what's the purpose of she speaking to you? Because you're actually going to judge what it is that she's saying instead of humbling yourself and then being led, like a child. You first start them off with some milk, and then you give them. I don't even like to use the word meat because I'm a vegan, but nevertheless, give them some true nourishment to kind of stick to your ribs. But yeah, the divine mother was able to feel. I recognized when she was present. She felt that void, and then the type of compassion, the type of compassionate words that a daughter or a son would long for. That type of counsel, that type of embrace, that type of guidance that you might have not even received from your own parents. It was there because it's kind of like you just know you made the connection with your creatress simply because there's a peace that come on you beyond any understanding that can be verbalized in the consort of the books that man write trying to explain a divine spirit that they never met, because it has to have like this connection within your spirit and your soul. So it's a beautiful thing that I made that connection, or she made that connection with me, and I was in agreement, because that's what I needed in my life, because the presence of my daddy failed me, when he tried to get me to do something I knew at 7 years old wasn't right. And then all the different experiences that I experienced once I became so rebellious. I ran away from home. I was 14. And so I pretty much been out there ever since. I did have one lady who she knew my daddy from church. So she called herself trying to bring me into her home. And she didn't realize what she was getting herself into with me. She just assumed that, you know, I'm a child of a preacher and I got some manners, but she didn't know that about me. I didn't have any manners. I used to have manners, but I ain't had no manners after dealing with my daddy and the different things. So she that lasted for maybe not even a year, but she eventually had to tell me to go because when she called herself trying to discipline me, she tried to discipline me with those orange racing tracks. You all remember those little orange racing tracks that your little sons or your brothers would play on? I think there was like um some kind of racing thing or whatever. So anyway, she tried herself trying to spank me with that. Now, my daddy, in spite of our differences, he never spanked me. So it was a joke to me that this woman who didn't give birth to me decided that she was going to try to discipline me. So I laughed at her. And when I laughed at her, oh, she took it so personal. She was extremely upset. And she started hitting me with it, but I started laughing at her some more. It's like, are you trying to hurt me? Are you really trying? This is supposed to hurt me. Now, if I had bare skin, it probably would have stung or something. But nevertheless, the divine, the divine mother knew that that wasn't gonna last long anyway. But nevertheless, it's just that type of embrace, that love, when you acknowledge that um, that you do have a omnipresent mother. Because if you can have a father, then it's like the first thought to me is like, well, then where's the mother? Considering a man or a spirit, a masculine spirit or a man, can't even have the title father unless there's a child present. Now, since men don't give birth, then that means there has to be a mother spirit present in order to give birth to the children that causes the masculine entity to now be called a father. And then like religion, they covered it up by saying the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or some people say Holy Ghost. But see, when they explain the Holy Spirit, they use it in a masculine perspective. So you always are being taught up under the assumption that the Trinity is made of three masculine entities, but it's not. And the Divine Mother, she put some emphasis on it for me to explain it to me by just looking at Proverbs 8. When you actually read Proverbs 8, if you want to look at timing of how things were created, actually Proverbs 8 should come before Genesis. I don't know if anyone, let me see if I can. I hope I don't lose you all if I was to go. Let me see if the camera still follows me. Uh oh. Nope. I don't know how to make. Okay. Do you all know how to make a split screen? Could you see me when I clicked over um, to another page? Because if you can see me, then I can read from the other page. But if you can't see me, I need to know. Just work with me, y'all, because this is, like I'm finally actually doing this for the first time. If you can tell me how to make a split screen, or if you can see me but I can't see you, if I switch over to a screen where I can read something. Feel free to post. Okay, let's see. All that. are the firm by the are the woman's altered ego man. Well, considering that no matter if you're male or female, you have a twin spirit within you, the opposite. Like if you're a woman, you have like even science tells you, you know, on one side of your brain you have the masculine, and then another side you have the feminine. But let the scientists up under a patriarchal system, they would tell you that the feminine is on the right side of your brain and the masculine is on the left. But when the Divine Mother, who is the architect of our fearfully and wonderfully made bodies, explains it, she tells me that whatever they tell you is basically just the opposite. So, in all actuality, she says the left brain is the feminine and the right brain is the masculine. And then she gave me clarity of why she chose to put the feminine on the left side versus the right side. Now, if you'd actually look at your body, you would notice that your left side of your body is where the heart is, right? Okay, so when the heart, when it comes to knowing that wisdom is called she, and she is like intelligence, intuition. She's capable of divine discernment, compassion, long suffering. She's supposed to be sitting on the throne as the council of her co-regent, which happens to be the male. Now, it's not always a husband. It could be an appointed son of a brother. Cause see, they got this all twisted when it comes to like ancient Africa, like in Kemet, what they call Egypt today, Kush, which they call Nubia today, and different other parts. Um, because in all actuality, they try to enforce that polygamy stuff or that incest that our ancestors were sleeping with each other and they just kept it in the family. But in all actuality, they would since the queen mother is the one who appoints the masculine image to the throne as the protector and co-regent, it doesn't have to be her son and it doesn't have to be her husband. It can actually be the son of her brother, or son of another villager. But the way they use the terminology and reference to family is a family affair. That's the reason why there was peace in the villages and different communities or states and country that recognize it takes a village to raise a child, because it doesn't stop there. Because even when it gets to the point of you coming to an age where they have sustained and maintained and supported you to be of a substance in the community, it's a continuation of that counsel and guidance. So no matter if you're young or old, but they got it twisted when it comes to explaining our culture through a people who have no culture and has to steal somebody else's culture in order to cover up their barbaric ways and what they've done. And they flipped the script and did the switch and bait. They take their behavior and define it as us. And then they took our civilized way of thinking and behaving and put it on them. So it's basically becomes a stage to them. They're playing the part instead of being the part. And that's the reason why we have all of this unbalance and chaos. So I think I kind of like got sidetracked, but I just wanted to um, point that out. Let me see. Did anybody say anything about uh how you're supposed to do a split screen, or hmm, or did you all see me when I switched over, or did the screen go black? If I can just get one person to let me know, then I know what I need to work on the next time, before I do that. So I'm going to get into, um, let's see, I'm going to get into the subject matter at hand. And the title is Apostasy Behavior Corrected, from A to Z. Because as I was saying, in order for us to go to that next level, we have to be willing to sacrifice some of these behaviors that, even in my own honesty, I enjoyed a lot of the things that I used to do, but I wasn't held accountable. I didn't even know I had that type of responsibility, until the Divine Mother revealed to me this learned behavior that I have come into behaving because of um, the lies and the deception of it in this present um, so-called society that we live in. This is a learned behavior, and just as well as it's learned, it can be unlearned. But you can't unlearn something and change your ways until it's put out there with a title, a label, and it confronts it. So it's like she let us know that the people that she's awakening. We all have a testimony to confirm her presence. And some of us might have been called through the Father's Spirit, but the Father is going to lead you to the Mother simply because she's the counselor. She's what they call the wonderful counselor, the one who leads you to all truth. She's the one that brings things back to our remembrance, because she is the cosmic black womb before there's any gods, before there's any deities, before there's any title that man can give unto thyself. Her presence, she is existence. You can't get no deeper than that. That's how she revealed it to me. Just the mere existence, that's she creates existence, and she's the fullness of it, and she's the one who embraces it, and her seven laws of the universe is what's governing it. We didn't need any laws like we have today. It's just that, in order to have the knowledge of good and evil that exists, um she has entrusted and given a teaching for us to be aware of the things that do exist. Like a warning: don't stick your hand in the fire, you'll be burned. Don't play around with sockets because you can get electrocuted. Let me see. Mama Lioness, my cut is like yours, and I train it to grow to the left. Uh, my cut? What's the cut? Brahma, Baba. I make it might not be pronouncing the Barana, Baba. What is the cut that you're speaking to? She is the beginning and the infinite. Oh, yes, she is. Yes, and she's worthy to be praised, and she's worthy to be worshiped, and she's worthy to be honored, and she's worthy to be glorified and lifted up and exalted above all forever. Yeah, yeah, it's worthy. Oh, my hair. Oh, my hair's not cut. I just lay it to the side and put I like flat up my locks. I don't know if you can see it. I plait my locks to lay close to my head, so I can just, um, yeah. So it's not cut, but nevertheless, I have thought about it, but no. When I felt like I can just put some water and some grease on it and just lay it down and put a scarf on my head and it just lay there, then I get the same effect. No, I can't. I can. It's beautiful. Um, thank you. Okay, so nobody's told me how to do a split screen. I guess I'll have to Google it for next time, but there's things that I want to be able to share that I thought it would be simple to um just click over, and I thought the camera was going to follow me. Hmm. I'm just gonna have to pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to share some things to put things in its perspective that the divine has given me. Like for instance, now that we are awakening, we have the power to define and as well as the power to control. Because the vocabulary that we're being taught in this language, this slave master's language, has three depths to it. It has the surface trickery, it has like a layman's trickery, and then it has the ultimate trickery that only they can communicate with it and use it for exploitation and not allowing us to have true justice in the court system. So the divine, she was revealing to me what our ancestors knew in reference to what some people may call like the Metu Neter, which is supposed to be the sacred language of the divine spirit. I was trying to not have to put this Australian original in my culture. She is the land. Yeah, like Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Yes. We had laws of the land that was upheld by the people. I was shown these laws still exist, but it's under the laws that white man created. Yeah, it's like they take the original, and but then when they have the oh, thank you, Rudy D. Love you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's like whenever, yes, they change the meaning of words every 100 years. I wouldn't be surprised, sister, if they was changing it every day. I mean, to a certain extent, it's like one day, they say one thing, the next thing it means something entirely different. But yeah, but now we, the awakening ones, we're awakening to truth, and we're awakening to our own ancient culture when everything was defined according to the principles of the universe, the laws and the principles of the universe. And so that's the reason why their way is foolishness to us. It doesn't even make sense on how they interpret things, especially when it's not beneficial for a whole, for everyone, but only beneficial for themselves. And so that that's not in divine order when somebody defines something that only benefits a few instead of the multitude. So I'm going to share with you the seven laws of the universe in reference to, I mean, not the seven, the 11 laws of like laws and principles in reference to understanding what some people maybe call it a myth, or like these ancient GODS with a small g, or like a blanket covering the operations of the originals, and it's time to tear it open. Oh yeah, Australian original. Yes, I'm in agreement with that. And Bhava, only laws are cosmic. Yes, and mankind's make audiences exactly. Rudy. Oh, okay, yeah, loves me. Thank you. Okay, so in numerology, I know that you all know that when you start counting now in the universe, you start counting with zero because zero has property too. Because even it's kind of like our divine mother, that the creatress. We do not see her, and so it would be zero um, visual consciousness that we can say that she exists, but we can see the results of her through the land and through the cosmos and through our own lives as being present. So the divine spirit starts off with zero, which is what some may refer to the law of Amun, Aman, or Aman, or something to that nature. But it actually, the zero represents that we were made in the likeness of peace, that nothing can disturb or reclaim our peace, that we may attain to our reason for coming into existence, to basically enjoy life freely. So, zero projection of being able to be sent into this realm already had a divine law and principle of our presence here, basically, that we're supposed to be able to enjoy this cosmic garden, you know. Because some people get a little hung up with trying to just name a mass of land. Like we already know that the land that they call the motherland, Africa, wasn't the original name for for that landmass. Some people call it Alkebulan, but it had name before Alkebulan. Some people said that the Greeks called the whole mass um, of Africa. At one time, it was called Ethiopia. Um, but the divine spirit, when you asked our mother, well, what was it? What is it? She allowed my own consciousness to come up with something, and then she kind of like confirmed it, but she put it into perspective, considering that one mass does not make the earth. It's the earth as a whole, kind of like whether it's a flat earth, it still would be shaped like a O or a zero, or if it's a round one, because I'm not going to get caught up in saying it was a flat earth or a round earth, but I did do enough research on my own that it must be flat, because anything that the adversary teaches us, there's always going to be an opposite. So, anyway, so since we were made in the likeness of the divine peace, and we were sent here to enjoy what I used to call Eden, the whole earth, or that mass they call Africa. I used to call it the land of Eden. Since I was a little girl, just hearing the word Eden out of the Bible. And then once I started looking at different movies of all the beautiful animals, the mountains, the waterfalls, just the beauty of that land, that's when I personally, as a little child, used to call it the land of Eden. But then the Divine Mother, she actually revealed to me it's the cosmic garden, because in our own cosmic atmosphere, in this, hold on, I'm going on. This is the only planet that she has let all vegetation and beauty be at one place. And so, if this is where she sent us to enjoy the presence of her beautiful work, and it's the cosmic garden, until she and this is another thing that she revealed to me, where people, well, we already know that they didn't actually go to the moon, because all of that was a lie and a stage, and everything. But you know how people always want to be able to go and explore the universe, and at the same time, you're leaving the one place that was assigned to you in such a mess. What makes you think that the divine is going to open up, so you can defile the cosmos? That's just not going to happen. We would have to be able to rid ourselves of the evil and the wickedness here on earth before we can even think about exploring out there. But it's like how they said, that they will, that they land on the moon and they build in space. Now that might be up under the ozone layer, but you know the real reason that they actually make these rockets to pretend to go to the moon, they're actually literally trying to get through the ozone layer. They really are trying to explore what they have been cut off. They do not have the gate key to explore that part of the universe. And so that's the real reason, from what the understanding that the divine spirit is showing me, that they're trying to prove um, the word of the divine, that they can't do this, that, or the other. And if they can't do it, then they'll create what looks like they have accomplished it. And then they hire these lying spirits to confirm what it is that they attempt to do and have not done, and then still turn around and pass it on as if it was true. Okay. Okay. Uh, I don't know how fast it's been. Only laws are cosmic. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. I'm not familiar with the cosmic laws, but am willing to learn. Oh, okay. Um, well, have you, Australian original? Have you ever heard of the Kabbalah? Because see now, KY, that actually, in a comedic perspective of the Metu Neter, that represents spirit, and then the Ba represents the soul, and then you have the word lion. So actually, this is something that even the writer of this, through a hermetic perspective, perspective, didn't notice that this is for our eyes only. That's the reason why what it well, what I call the cosmic garden, is actually, the lions are actually like what we would consider the coat of armor. The only people who are actually worthy and entitled to wear the lion image are the people from the land of the lions, and that would be our ancestors. And if anybody who's lived there directly can actually utilize the lion image. So actually, like the Sphinx, which has an original name, which I can't remember what it is, but that Sphinx, where the men say it has a head of a man, but historically that's a head of a woman, because it represents the golden age of the matriarchal system. And then you know the lion is the one that actually works the hardest among the pride. You know, she's the hunter, she's the teacher, she's the comforter. She counsels the cubs. Even the boy cubs learns from their mother on how to hunt until they get up to a certain age, where they have to go out, alone or among the other lions, to learn how to patrol the area. But they learn everything. Oh no, Mama Lioness. Um, Australian original. What do you say? And no, Mama Lioness too. You never heard of this book? Mm, okay. Original. Nope. Up. Okay. So anyway, so we represent the ultimate lower nature spirit. Um, Okay, so the Kaaba lion actually represents the land of the soul and the spirit of the lion. So the Divine Mother, she has given us the image of the lion as the lion pride. So like when you're in touch with recognizing your seven chakras, the lower chakra is your animal nature. So the divine spirit, she revealed to me that she assigned us the animal nature of a lion. So even when we're in battle with these so-called two-legged beasts, we are still have the DNA strategic ability to even still be able to devour our enemies, because we can convert our way of thinking and our way of doing and strategizing like lioness and lions. So it's like whenever a lion walks up on the scene, even though an elephant is larger than a lion, they respect it, and they would not want to have to go to battle with a lion, especially a whole pride of lions. And then like the giraffes and the what do you call the baboons and cheetahs and hyenas, they are considered the king of the land. But it's like the lioness, she's supposed to be like the lord of the jungle and the queen of the bush, because no matter what, the life sequel comes through the female, and she is the teacher and the counselor of the pride when they all start off as cubs. Even when the grown lion, the male lion, her mate, he doesn't do anything as far as the upbringing of the cubs, but at the same time, the divine spirit, um, he has his place as well as she does. So I said all of that to bring to your attention, even when in our process of dealing with uprooting, the injustice and overthrowing the hypocrisy and casting out their religious dogmas, we have like a strategic DNA within us to even conquer the mind and the agenda and the plans of the beast when we resort into looking to the lioness in her strategy when it comes to hunting and devouring her enemies. So, okay, so now let's go to number one. Then let me see if any comments I need to address. Let's see. Gatekeeper, yes. Segment. Oh yeah, segment. And actually, she's a lioness. She has a lion head with a female body, and sometimes she's like the full image of a lioness. And actually, this season, let's see, next this coming weekend, I think Saturday and Sunday, there's going to be the fifth annual Straight Black Pride event, and their focus is on the return of Nzinga, which they're basically saying the empowerment of the melanated woman, but it also, to me, according to the divine spirit, is like that conscious awakening of being awakened to our divine mother and the spirit of Sekhmet, which is to put things in order. Um, she works for Ma'at, to put things back in order where there is chaos, and bring forth and prepare the way for justice, judgment. So then we have like the law of Asar. Um, let's see. Okay, the law of Asar, um, is our nature is unconquerable. She allows us to have the unconquerable peace, and therefore nothing or no one in the world can be against us. You know how they say in the Bible, no weapon shall form against us, and no sickness or disease shall prosper. Well, these Metu Neter, Ma'at, and 11 laws of principles was before the Bible was written. And so, as I was saying, they have actually stolen the teachings, or what they call plagiarized the teachings of our ancestors, and reinterpreted and retranslated it and put on these names. Basically all masculine names, whether it be Roman, Greek, or English names, to cover up the paper trail of our ancestors. But then there's this book called The Sibyls. See, it's called The Sibyls, and it teaches us about the first prophetess of Mami Wata. Well, Mammy, like how they used to on the slave plantation movies, they would always call the black woman Mammy. Now they might have has been saying calling her that out of what's that word, uh I forgot the word, but it was like a negative or a bad connotation, mammy, but actually, it was a positive because it's like a renowned woman, a noble woman. So mammy, it has a positive um connotation to it. And this actually were a sister who is right here in Georgia. Actually, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's this woman who did like a very extensive research on the Black Dove Society. Like in the Bible, they have the white dove that's supposed to represent the Holy Spirit, but it actually originated with the black dove. Origin was the symbol of the original Holy Spirit, where, like it says on page 4, it says universally known as the black doves. The Sibyls refer to themselves as sisters of a set, and sometimes prophetesses of the Black Diana. The doves symbolize the sacred soul or the Holy Spirit, an Afro mystical symbol later adopted by the Christians. It was the Sibyls matriarchal group who settled at Asia Minor and what is known as ancient Turkey, and installed Mammy's worship. And more than 2,500 years ago, before the Dorsey or the Greeks and the Turks invasion. So Mammy, whom they knew as the Lakum with her serpents, was known as the manifestation of the divine Logos, with holy temples scattered all throughout Asia Minor, Cushitic and Empire, and Monona and Miocene and Aegean Islands. All of these are like in like the Roman and Greek and Turkey and European areas. So before that, Christianity and the invasion of the Romans and the Greeks as we see them today, all of that was being occupied by our African or melanated ancestors. Also, it says the archaeological pottery shards dates black descendants of the Libyan Garmetes, present day U, and Aladas, the Andabi, and other African clans who had settled into ancient Babylon and elsewhere before the flood to have arrived in Monona, what they call Iona, as early as 4000 BCE and held as one of the seven wonders of the world. And these sacred temples were maintained by the Sibyls and a contingent of Vestal virgin priestesses and eunuchs. Okay, let's see. You have Neamanura. You have what? You have this image pinned to your wall of Mami Wata. Mami Wata, yes. Aphrodite is a derivative of Mami Wata. Aphrodite. You mean like a woman that might have um two gender organs? No, that's hermaphrodite. Oh, well, what's an Aphrodite? Barama, Bala, and Nima Nura. I have the. Oh, okay. So you have the Metunet Ma'at 11 laws. Yeah, let me get back to that because see, I'm so excited, to finally be doing a live program. I'm just all over the place. Okay, so let me stick with this. Okay, so the law of Asar. Our nature is an unconquerable peace. Therefore, nothing or no one in the world can be against us. And all the experiences come to us to promote our reclamation of peace. But it is our time to reclaim our redemption, our reparations, our restoration, and our divine eternal salvation, and not through no indoctrination of no dogmas or no religious validation, but truly salvation is being rid of what is causing the oppression and suppression of our people. So to be rid of ourselves of these earthly troubles that the adversaries have created as devices, in order to have a stronghold on our people because they are there to grab a hold to our heel so we do not be able to move forward. But see, in our reflection is to bruise their head, to bring it to an end. Because even from a biblical perspective, says that the seed of the serpent was put enmity against the seed of the woman, and he would bruise her heel. I mean, take a hold to her heel, and then she would bruise his head. So they've been holding on to the heel, the progression of the woman for all these years of this patriarchal, male dominant sodomite society. And now it's time for the women to be raised up and strategically speak what the divine is already ordained for us to speak in order for their heads to be bruised and put an end to this foolishness and this ignorance. So, number 2 is the law of Tahuti. When all of our thoughts, feelings, and actions reflect the word of the divine, then the power of the glory of divinity spirit, because I don't say the word God. So whenever I come across the word, because if, let's see, Nehemiah Nura. I don't know what it says on your chart that you have on your wall, but this one I don't understand why our people still feel like once they come to this consciousness, if you when you come to consciousness, you come into the knowledge of truth. So I don't know why they would institute implement the word God, and that's not even written on the walls of the mental netter. But because I would have preferred them just to say Netaru or Netter or Neteret, which is the feminine perspective. Or like I'm just grateful that the divine spirit allows me to um, use things as an acronym. So when I look at God, depending on the context of how it's going to be used, um, I would either say the glory of divinity, the government of discipline, or true democracy, instead of talking about it, actually implementing it, or diplomacy, or divinity. So those are the few that I would interchange with the for the God. And then Lord, depending on the context, the Divine Mother allows me to say either the lion of redemption decree or the lioness of the redemption decree or reparations or restoration or rejuvenation, revivify, revitalize. Like I said, depending on the context of how it's being used. And then our ancestors, the Sibyls, whenever, because the word Lord and the word let's see, it was the word Lord and it was another word that didn't exist. But whenever they came across it, they would always utilize it as like the Queen of Heaven or the Divine Cosmic Mother or the Lady. Put the word Lady for the L, Lady of Redemption, Lady of Reparations, Lady of Restoration. But it was always referring to a divine feminine um, entity or deity. Okay, so number three, the law of secure, when the emotions of man manifest in response to the word of the glory of divinity, they have the power to influence the course of any and all events in the world. So this is the reason why it's important that we make ourselves available and rid ourselves of these strongholds and stumbling blocks of characteristics that we have learned while in captivity of enslavement up under a system of the oppressor. And that's the reason, like, eventually, because as you notice, the title says part 1, so I probably be on this subject for 3 or 4 days because even trying to get through the part where the divine wants me to just lay the platform down is going to take probably another hour, and so I would probably pick up tomorrow about the same time, or maybe earlier. Depends on you all. Um, yeah, and also the L, the divine spirit also allows me to utilize that as law of reparations or law of redemption, and yeah, so on. It, like I said, it's like thank you, Baba. You know, you got a tongue twister there because we got two Brahmana, Brah. I wish you can call in. I still don't see anything on here where you can actually greetings, civil oracles. Oh, so you definitely must have this book, right? Isn't this empowering, uplifting, and encouraging? You know, when it's time to take these people down and it's time to go into the courtroom and judge them accordingly, this book will definitely be in all of our hands because this is more than enough evidence um, of the and the deceptions that these people have. Definitely, because I know if when it's my turn to confront, I'm definitely going to have that book in the Cosmic Mother, the Great Cosmic Mother, the Great Cosmic Mother. And then I have some Native American books that represent uh, my other side of my family. But nevertheless, they all are connected. So here's this one, The Great Cosmic Mother, rediscovering the religion of the earth. So this book is thick, but it is packed with a lot of good information. Okay. So, um, thank you, Sybil. I'm just glad to be here. Just doing my part because it's been a long time coming, and it was like the Divine Mother had to tell me what I need to be focused on, not only on YouTube, but spending more time out in the streets in various places so I can uplift the seed of the woman with her daughters who have been affected by so many different concepts of that left them with low self-esteem. And when you disrespect other women, that because you're disrespected. And when you don't even have enough respect for yourself, to not behave or say or do the things that you do, then you look, misery loves company. And when you can find somebody that will tune into that type of behavior instead of being a real true friend to encourage you to change your ways, it takes a present time as this to have queen mother minds of queen mothers to raise up mothers. We have to get back into that way of thinking and living in a communal mindset in reference to it takes a village. So we have to start that with ourselves. Um, and so, Brahma, you say you got that book. Yours is green. Fully understand, mother of three daughters, and I'm 5 months pregnant now. Congratulations, Civil Oracles. Congratulations. That's why I don't care for platforms that bash women. That's that's why I don't care for platforms that. Yes. Mm-mm, mm-mm. But you know what? If I happen to be on, well, not intentionally, but if somebody disrespects, we just have that power. We have that power to speak up and speak out, and the Divine Mother is going to confirm my words, because no matter what we say and how we say it, it's going to be a seed planted. And the Divine Spirit, in her laboratory of redemption, she can make that one little seed cause so much havoc in a man or a woman's mind who is disrespectful to her image and her kind. So we have to be, excuse me, we have to be aware of that, the power. They like to raise up their fists and say black power, but the divine told me, no, it was never about black power. It's about the power of blackness. And since she is the black universe, she is the black womb. And in darkness comes forth everything, and the light thereof. We get ready to see the true power of blackness. And sometimes blackness has no color. Just not being able, it's kind of like blackness is obscure, where it covers everything with just the lack of true knowledge. That is the same thing as blackness, because without true knowledge, in order to build on, a person is without sight. A person is without clear understanding. And then, of course, their words and their choices of action will not be wise. Um, yes, we are to be our sister's keeper. Yes. Wish you were my kid's godmother. Really need you in our life. Well, we're gonna have to make that happen. I never been asked to be somebody's godmother, but I would be more than happy to be to learn how. But all I basically have to do is just be me, right? And civil or ghost, just be me and just make myself valuable. Yes. And then I'll give you my email, and so you can contact me, and then we can talk some more about that. Um, thank you. I feel, oh, my cheeks. Yeah, that's very touching, because I was really, had a hard time accepting what the Divine Mother was calling me to do, considering I didn't raise up my own natural child, by her winding up in adoption. But she told me that she's called me to raise up her spiritual children, and I was like, well, how can I raise up spiritual children when I didn't even raise up my own natural child? Well, she let me understand that I have a new way of thinking and a new way of doing things now. And if I had the opportunity to be what I wasn't with my baby in the beginning, I would be a much better presence and an example and evidence that every man be a liar and the Divine Mother's word be true. That when she changes you, and because the desire of your own heart to respect her and honor her, and let yourself be the liar and make sure that her change in you remains the same, and if anything can grow more mature with the knowledge that she continues to release in us and over us, then there is no failure there. And so I looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you, um, Nia. Um, let's see. Um, Alex, he's welcome back, Alex. Oh, okay. Alex Lou, can you please pray for me and send positive healing energies? I Jeb, I J been stressed. Oh, you have been stressed, and my nerves are really bad. I need to get back centered and calm. Yes, do you already? I think we already have each other's um contact. If not, uh, you can take my phone number or my email down. I don't have a problem sharing my phone number is 678-469-3987. Again, 678-469-3987. So any of you all, if you want to call me, so we can collaborate outside of the um, whatever you call this live feed. um, yeah, just give me a call, and because I was supposed to open up with a prayer, and it's already written, everything that I wanted to address. But when I switched over, I didn't see my camera, so I was under the impression that you all couldn't see me. So I'm going to have to learn how to do the split screen come tomorrow when I do part two, because I don't know how to switch over to another page without losing the visual. Let's see. Thank you. You're welcome, Alex Little. Thank you. Civil Oracle. Yes. Did you take down my number as well? Because I would love to hear from you in reference to being uh, um, an extension and reflection for your children. Let me see. Thanks, I have it, and I would definitely give you a call. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful. Thank you. And oh, that's for Alex. Okay. So, number 4, law of Ma'at. Ma'at. The divine glory of divinity needs us in order to come into the world. Fulfilling the divine's need is the highest act of love. See? Just wait, yeah. And only through our love for our divine mother, our everlasting parent, can we fulfill our love for others, become love of the glory of divinity in the world for the protection of the world. So, in order for the divine to use us in a mighty way, she allows us to experience things, but in order to show her, and in order to show her divine healing process, she allows us to experience certain things, and then because of the desires of our heart, to show our appreciation of the deliverance that she gives us, um, allows us to show her that we appreciate her and that we honor her and that we acknowledge her. So just like I was saying earlier, who in their right mind would want to disappoint their parents, especially the true life giver and the true life sustainer and the power and authority over what will she having the power to reclaim our soul, and whatever happens to it. So the divine does need us in order for us to, because they say we fight not against flesh and blood, but we fight against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness and rulers of darkness and workers of iniquities at high places of divinity. And I consider that in church and state. Now, the only thing is, not mama line. Okay. So in order um for us to continue to show our gratitude is to be able to accept counsel and to humble ourselves so we can be used in a mighty way, especially in such a time as this. And it's about making sacrifices to be not about us, but about we. And so we have to do some individual sacrifices in order to be able to unite um, as one, as the remnant, to get this job done. So, what a large mass of people want to be done, but they see that there's no hope because there's so many differences among so many different people. The divine is quite capable of choosing who she will be able to work with and work through in order for everyone else to be able to have a platform of a voice and actions for our divine destiny and purified legacy. So, number 5, law of Haruhuti. It says, know that the glory of divinity neither punishes nor rewards, nor protect, that we will have the comfort of controlling these things ourselves. Now, that particular one, okay, that particular one where it says, know that the divine neither punishes nor rewards nor protect, that you will have the comfort of controlling these yourself. I'm not in agreement with that wording. I don't know how they come up with that conclusion. I don't know who wrote this particular one, but that doesn't make to see like my testimony in reference to getting a kidney transplant when I was on dialysis for 21 years, just up until last year. It's actually going to be a year. Um, this month on the 28th that I had a visitation from the Divine Mother. And I was sleeping on my couch, and I already know I have an issue with talking in my sleep, because sometimes I be talking so much that I actually, it's like I open my eyes and my mouth just going, 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 going. And, I can't even get it to stop, so I don't even bother. But this particular morning, it was a Tuesday morning, I heard myself talking on my sleep. Oh, yeah, look at the time. 11:11. That is a very significant number. Oh, yeah. I enjoyed seeing it. At first, whew, it seemed like if possible, like 4 or 5 times a day, I kept seeing 11:11, 11:11, or 111, or something to the sequence of either the three ones or the 4 11s. Um, and I used to get kind of panicky because it was happening every time I would look at the clock. It would have 1 1 1 1, and I started getting like anxiety attacks because I couldn't understand why I kept seeing these 1 1 1s until one day the Divine Mother, she actually brought meaning to me. It actually was in scripture the first time I saw 11:11, and it was in reference to her gathering her seed to return us back to our land of antiquity, and that she's about to deliver us. And then I actually Googled it one time, and then there was a whole bunch of different people in their perspective of 1 1 1. And then one day she actually had me to write from 0 to 9, and one of them was 1 1 1 or 1 1 1 1 4 times, and she gave me her own interpret meaning of it. So it took about 3 months of constantly seeing 1 1 1 before I finally realized it was a positive thing instead of a disagreeable situation for myself. So yes, I was scared. I was like, why am I keep seeing these 1 1 1s? I was getting like really irate. I was like, ooh, it's amazing how it can your mind. But when I was saying the know that the glory of divinity neither punishes nor rewards nor protect, that you will have the comfort of controlling these yourself. Mm-mm. I'm in complete denial of that one. I would love to see the original meaning of the law of her kuti, because first of all, what's impossible for man is only possible through the divine spirit when it comes to punishing people who have made their business um, it was right at the tip of my tongue, of of mass destruction because of their military and their cavalry, where we as a people do not have a military or a cavalry that will match what they have spent centuries and years on accumulating because of their own agenda of depopulation. So it would take the punishment of the divine spirit to bring them to their knees. And sometimes they, in order to rid us of them, she would have to punish them where they would no longer exist. So our everlasting internal parent does punish, Even I get a spanking sometimes, because sometimes if I ask the divine spirit, something that actually this happened twice. I'm perfect, for what the divine's called and chosen me to do, but that doesn't say that I'm flawless. I have my own flaws. I try to limit it to very few, but in in order to remember that I do have an everlasting parent that is going to hold me accountable and has given me this responsibility, and when I get out of line, the divine spirit allows things to happen. Because when you feel pain, you like, well, what's happening? Why? Okay, so that opens you up for the answer. So the divine spirit, just like our natural parents, will spank us or punish us when we do something contrary to what she told us to do. Our mother, our father, the divine spirit, as it is above, so it is beneath. So what we when it tells us to honor our mother and our father, that first goes above where it all begins, as well as the reflection here on earth in the image of we as thee. So the divine mother punishes, she rewards us. Now, it's not a reward like to how some people, like if you get an allowance or something, or if you be good, then well, that wouldn't be true. So let me tell you, on that Tuesday morning, when I was talking in my sleep, I heard myself say kidney transplant. Now, I was on dialysis for 21 years, and being on dialysis for 21 years, and not even be on the kidney transplant list, um, was quite amazing for me to hear myself say transplant. So I actually jumped straight up off the couch, and I'm like, well, why am I talking about a kidney transplant when I'm not even on the transplant list? And all of a sudden, she actually spoke through my lips, and she told me, I am about to give you one of your two wings of power. I am about to give you a child's kidney to match your inner child of obedience for the past 16 years. Mm-mm-mm. Needless to say, of course, I'm crying, kicking, screaming, rolling on the floor like, what? What? You, one of my two wings of power, and you're about to give me a child's kidney to match my inner child of obedience for the past 16 years. I was outdone. But needless to say, the amazing thing was I actually had an appointment with the kidney transplant surgeons on Thursday. So I had already started telling people about what the divine mother spoke to my lips. Now, I live in a high rise. So I live around a number of people, and majority of them, as a matter of fact, all of them don't really understand me. And then for me to be talking about what the divine mother spoke to, I told you she was crazy. But I was telling everybody what the divine spirit of what had spoke through my lips. And then on that Thursday, I had an appointment with the surgeons, and they're supposed to tell me whether or not if I was going to be accepted to see if I would be suitable for a kidney transplant. So, Silver Oracle, you say you get all crazy. It's okay. I rather be crazy when it comes to wisdom than foolish when it comes to ignorance. You know what I mean? So I can be whatever, but it's all good. So when I went inside to meet the surgeons, I actually it was like five of them in the room, and I was all excited to tell them what the Divine Mother told me, because I'm just not even thinking about these people. I'm just wanting to share the testimony. And so I told them that the Divine Mother, of course, somebody has to speak up and ask me, Divine who? I said the Divine Mother. Oh, let me explain to you. You might call it God, but I reference your God as the Divine Mother, the first, the last, in the beginning, without end, period. So I told them that the divine spoke through my lips and told me that she's going to give me one of my two wings of power, and that she's going to give me a child's kidney to match my inner child of obedience for the past 16 years. Well, the main surgeon stepped up, and he stepped up about this close to my face. He says, nice story. But from a medical perspective, that is not going to happen. We do not give children kidneys to people your age. We give them to other children, or we give them to young adults who have a whole life ahead of them. I stepped back a little bit because he got a little bit too close, and I said, well, nice story. But when the Divine Mother tells me something, she's the first and the last. She's the beginning without end. And when she tells me she's going to do something, it's going to happen, and she's going to confirm it. So, thank you. So I just left it at that. So now that was on a Thursday. Don't you know on Friday, the following day, I get a phone call, and they told me that they put me on the kidney transplant list. What? Now, I don't know if anybody actually knows anybody who's on dialysis, and how long the process is, and how long people have to wait to get a kidney. But when those people called me the next day and told me I've been put on the kidney transplant list, whew, the divine spoke through my list, and she says, I am moving through you quickly because you must be in position. Okay, and I'm still trying to figure out, and hopefully, oh my goodness. Whew, I mean, I can pray for people, but please keep me in you all's prayers that I do not miss this opportunity of being wherever I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be there, doing what I'm supposed to be doing while I'm there. Because she told me she was going to be moving through me quickly, and I have to be in position. And I don't know where that position is. I just have to put my trust in the universe, which she has in her hands, because she can measure the ocean by the handful. She can carry the soil of the earth in a cup. She can touch a mountain and make it melt. She can overlook the dome of the stars in the sky. So she's in her omnipresence. So I just believe and have faith, faithfulness, because there's a difference between blind faith and faithful. Faithful is active, being active. Where faith, you just sit still and just wait on the so-called Lord. But nevertheless, so that's the reason why I brought that to you all's attention. Oh, and then Monday, I got a phone call. And these people told me they have kidneys for me. I'm gonna say that for another day. But long story short, I didn't wake up with one kidney. I woke up with two kidneys. They could have actually given somebody else one of the kidneys, but the divine spirit not only made themselves out of a liar, she also made them give me what they wasn't going to give me, and they had wound up giving me two baby kidneys. So this is Destiny and Legacy. My two kidneys, I actually named them in the hospital, and I named them Kenya and Sion. Not with a Z, but with an S, because it represents a lineage from a noble family. And that's exactly the type of car I drive. And that's not even the car I went to go purchase, but that's the car that the divine spirit put in my possession. And I wanted to know what this word scion means, because this is not what I wanted. So when I looked it up, it actually matched, her remnant. We're descendants from a noble family, and being descendants of the Sibyls is very noble. Um, so, so I do believe in it's not a reward, but it's a blessing. And then it also says, nor protect. Well, that's one of the main attributes of the divine spirit is to protect us. So you have to agree with me. Who is it? I think it was Alex Little or Civil Oracles. Um, which one of you all said that you have this on your wall at home? The Metronuclear Ma'at 11 laws. So you would probably agree with me that number 5 could not be of original, because all three of those things, the divine is part of her attributes. And then we have number 6, the law of Haru. Oh, Nura. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you said it's on your wall. Does yours read the same way as number 5 says that know that the glory of divinity, but it's got God, neither punishes nor rewards nor protects, that we will have the comfort of controlling these things ourselves. So I just give an example that that would not be accurate in order for the divine spirit word to be true. And then it's proven that these are the things that she does for us on a daily basis. Because if she didn't protect us, now I might not use the word reward, but she definitely um, blesses us or anoints us for certain things, and she definitely protects us. So I disagree with that one. Okay, so number 6, law of Harut. You have the power, but not the right to ignore the divine's law. We have the right. We have the power, but not the right to ignore the divine's laws. Yeah. Well, that would make us powerless to ignore the divine's laws and principle is to admit or just to submit ourselves to being powerless, especially when the divine spirit awakens us, and the purpose of awakening is to empower. So right now people have no power because they can't change anything. But when you awaken to the truth, then that's what gives you power. But when you awaken to truth, the power is to make the right choices based on the proper knowledge with the proper understanding that our choices would be wise. So that part right there, I don't know. Maybe it's just the wording, the way that they word in these things, and then being in tune with the Divine Mother, who's actually going to give you revelations and elevations, and the power to define gives us the power to control. Um, then we see things differently than what is up on the surface. So it also says, choose to follow the law of the divine with the love and joy that grows out of understanding. Well, it says understanding, but understanding and the wisdom and power of the divine spirit will flow through your being. I agree with all of that. Yes, I agree with all of that. That part right there. Number 7, law of Het Haru. It is not what you imagine. It is who is imagining. Are you a human or a divine being? Well, it's that's amazing considering like maybe like about 3 or 4 months ago. Hold on. These are my reading my prescription glasses. And they have like a tint to it. Oh, excuse me. But people look like I have something that was oh my, yeah, it's some spots on there. Now, without my prescription glasses, everything's quite blurry. Okay, so at least y'all can see my eyes now. Okay, I gotta find my thing to light my glasses. But anyway, I had to put them on temporarily so I can read. Okay, so it's not what you imagine. It is who is imagining. Are you a human or a divine being? Well, the divine mother, she's divine. Um, because she's divine and we are her fruit from the vine, and we were sent into the world as divine. Now, because of the influences in the world has kind of like divine, like when you detach something, it becomes divine, but the consciousness reconnects us to the vine, and it is we are being, like how they say we're human beings. We are being, we are going through the process of being divine, because we have to be reconnected and retaught, cleansed, purified, revivified, resurrected, and all of that, change. Yes, I am a divine being of the cosmos. Yes, we are. Naima. Did I say that right? I think I actually said it right this time. Naima Nura. Yes, we are. We are the divine cosmic beings, and we are being undivine, and we have a divine mind. When we have our transferring and renewing of our mind, and it is to stay on the mind, and we are being. We're in a process of being. Yes, and our destiny is a divine one, and our legacy would be a purified one. So now imagining, it said it's not what we imagine, it is who is imagining. Well, it is kind of like a what do you call it? I just had this thought, like this download, like, okay, it's not what you're imagining, but who is imagining. Well, the who is the one that's imagining. We can imagine anything, but the one thing our ancestors had the ability, they can imagine anything and create anything and everything. But there's a lot of the things they chose not to create simply because if it was to jeopardize one life, it wasn't worth creating. Um, so like on the walls where the Metu Netters is, it shows like helicopters, I think it was automobiles or planes and military stuff. That shows no archaeological evidence that they were ever made, but yet they were drawn on the walls. So they were able to imagine and preconceive what the future could bring, but they had the ability to make it present then, but they chose not to because a lot of people um, would lose their lives. And they were in line with the laws of the Divine Mother, and she's the source of life, and she has the power and authority to be the life giver and the life sustainer, and the only one who has the power and authority to reclaim life. So anything that our ancestors will create will be in line with sustaining and maintaining life and not jeopardize it. So um, number 8, law of Sebek. It's not what you think or what you affirm. It is who is thinking and affirming. Are you a human or a divine being? Well, we already answered that. We're divine beings. Yes. And thinking actually is something to be aware of because how a person thinks is also how it directs your steps, your life. So we have to be aware of how we think because the laws of the universe, one of those laws is called law of correspondence, or some people might say law of attraction, or some people say reaping what you sow. But nevertheless, it's important that see the universe, the agents that are spirit guides that work along with us, but still are under the power and authority of the Divine Mother to confirm us. They do not have they do not question what it is that we think. They just give us the ability to accomplish what we think. So they don't determine whether if it's a good thought or a bad thought. If you have it, they're there to assist you to fulfill it. So it's important that we be aware of our thoughts so that we don't think of anything that's going to be fruitful, that's going to harm us or somebody else, because in all actuality, we do wish that our enemies and our oppressors be dealt with, but that's in line with the divine's will. But we do not come to that conclusion on our own. We're just in agreement with the divine spirit that this type of behavior uh, need not to exist in the midst of transferring and renewing of our mind to reestablish the golden age. That type of behavior has to go. Yes, and unformatted. Greetings, one and all. Welcome, unformatted. Wow, I haven't had the pleasure of seeing your name since the Starve Show. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you got the notice. Welcome. Been a while. Okay, so the next one, number 9, the law of Asat. Um, Prepares to sacrifice everything to become the vessel of the divine spirit on earth, and we will in turn receive everything. Yeah, so that's like a forerunner of the importance of recognizing what it is that we must sacrifice in order to gain. So we must be willing to lose something in order to gain something. So in my case, because of the way I used to live, I had to be willing to um, basically give up what I felt wasn't an issue, but it was not pleasing to our divine, everlasting, eternal parent. My behavior um, was unacceptable to our divine mother. So I was grateful that her love, bless love, Mama Lang. Yes, it's a beautiful thing to be in you all's presence, unformated. Yeah, I finally figured it out myself on how to start my own live feed on this platform on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to make sure. I don't know how often because I know. Well, I know until this series is over, it probably take about 2 or 3 days to go through this particular lesson. Um, because even going through the A through the Z is going to take at least 2 hours because I have to show you the evidence of the things that the divine spirit showed me to confirm why she said the certain behaviors is not going to be acceptable, but it's going to be powerful as evidence that the divine mother's love tells you what isn't good for you, and she empowers you to overcome these things as an example to others that if I can do it, then they can do it as well. But everybody has their own closet of things that they have to be willing to sacrifice in order to please our everlasting eternal parent. So we can go to that crown chakra level. And it's not like how some people just can claim it, to claim that they are have that crown chakras, your behavior, the seat of emotions, the windows to your soul. All of that is like how what the divine spirit examines beyond what the finite mind of the lips and the words of one that may use, because she looks deeper. She's like that two-edged sword, that piercing and dividing and the sounder of the soul and the spirit. So she can see what our mouth say, but she also sees the actions thereof. So it's important that we be willing to just, sacrifice to empty ourselves to make room for the new wine, instead of the empty the old skin, and to make room for new wine, a new way of thinking, our divine being, our divine mind. So we have to be prepared to make that sacrifice. And number 10, which actually is 11, because remember we started off with 0, which is a sum as well. So the law of Geb, know that from heaven we can, or the universe, we came, and to the universe we will return. Seek not enduring works on the earth. Well, we do have a job to do on the earth, and that's being vessels that the divine can work through in order to put things back, making wrongs right, because the divine is here to do things that we cannot do, but just being, since we are the vessels that the adversary has targeted, and has totally destroyed some of our minds, our bodies, our souls, our spirit. We are going to be that judge and the jury, and the divine, everlasting, eternal parent will be the executioner. So even though we fight not against flesh and blood, those characteristics are actually housed in flesh and blood, because it's not like we're just walking down the street and we see I don't know like cars flying, hitting people upside the head, billy bats, bullets. gun shooting without anybody behind it pulling the trigger. These attributes are taking over people because of their own minds. And whenever a liar will always listen to lies, or a person who has a mind on wickedness will attract wickedness. So those spirit people are being used and don't even know they're being used. Some people are being used that don't even have a problem with being used. So it's like whatever in the mind, the body will follow. So we have to be willing to know that we do have work to do up on this earth, and this is where the divine cosmic garden was placed here, and we are to enhance it and beautify it and maintain it and sustain it. But so if anything defiles it, we do have a part of being a vessel as the originators here to expose the falsified duplicators. So we do have work to do. We just can't sit back and just say, okay, the divine spirit's going to take care of it all. Well, there's certain things in order to go into a courtroom, you got to have people who are bringing charges, that literally, telling them what we find them guilty of. So, yes, we do have work to do on earth, but at the same time, as the individual may be stating, that we come from the cosmos, we'll return to the cosmos. But in the meantime, we got work to do. So let's see. Restoring order. Oh yes. Um, Brahmana Baba. So this oh okay, so I guess I can finish this part. It says, let's begin by making clear that the laws of the Divine Mother of the universe bear no resemblance to man's laws, which is absolutely true. Because the laws of man, is in defiance of the laws of the universe, the laws of the lands, the laws of nature, the laws and principle of gender, of woman and man, um, and laws of gender, the laws of correspondence with the mind, the laws and principles of rhythm, vibration, and tone and tune, the laws and principles of what's that? I used to just name them all at one time. Well, as it is above, so it is below. Polarity. Excuse me. So we didn't need like these 10 commandments and everything of that nature. It's just when um, our people was able to respect the laws of the cosmos and the laws of the land and the laws and principles of respect for one another. But then when you have these people coming out of the caves with these barbaric behaviors, um, at least they did know that, okay, if something evil exists, there has to be some good laws to shine a light upon that evil to make things wrong, make it right. So they were able to create laws and principles to be a counteractive for these free radicals. Um, Anna Bahama. Remember, we was talking about that earlier today. Free radicals, the answer, the germs or uh, bacteria that is among us that's fighting against us, our bodies. Nehemiah Nura says their rule of law is a corrupt program. Yes, divine law is what holds life together. Exactly. And in order to hold that light together, it must first be in our mind so our body will follow because we have been bombarded, with the laws of man. Now we have to empty ourselves and understand the priority and the authority of the divine mother's laws, so that we can be in compliance and be the beneficiary of her rule and her blessings. Okay, so I was saying, so they are not injunctions or commandments to be obeyed. Really, it's not. Um, they are not rules and prohibitions or regulations prescribed to govern the behavior of man. Neither are they conventions that sages have met and agreed upon. Yes, because we were actually giving the laws and the principles that all we needed. We didn't need any books and scrolls of, all these, what they say, 640 laws that they have in what they call the Old Testament, and then the 10 Commandment laws. That's just something in our DNA out of respect. We didn't need a written law for that. That was just like a no-brainer because of our divine minds, which produce divine fruit. Oh yeah, cancer cells are disagreeable. Yeah, that one too. So, they are principles that explain the nature and interactions of the forces and principles that influence man's life. His or her thinking and feeling and actions, and destiny. So the observance of these principles will enable individual to live in harmony with these principles and forces that be among us. So that's gaining access to the glory of divinity's wisdom and spiritual power are all these that in need are as important and life will follow. So they apply to the 11 spheres and of the spiritual influence of operating man's spirit and the world. The laws and the principles of 11 laws and principles of the universe was all that we needed from the very beginning. But then when man decides that he wants to be the dictator of what is works for him, or that's the reason why you have all these different religions and these and denominations and indoctrination, because people just pick and choose what is suitable for them, and then they have people that follow them, but it's not going to be in compliance and agreement with everybody. So everybody has to make their own interpretations, their own translations, and in all of these different things. And all we have to do is just humble ourselves and ask our everlasting eternal parent what pleases you. And then she would just reveal to you, all I've given you is the laws of the land and the cosmos and the respect for one another. That's your Trinity. If you're going to be specific about it. But so the presentation of the laws does not appeal to belief, faith, or comprehension through some is yet unmanifested, higher and spiritual faculties that they create. So they appeal to man's reasoning power and common experience. And that's the reason why, the first language, which the archaeologists and the agents of Egyptology, because there's a difference between Egyptology and Kemetic divine Metu Neter. But they support their own perspective and belief system of what is how, since they're imposters and they've taken over the divine mind of the Metanethers, the tongue of the learned. They have to redefine it to be more of an oppression state with all these different laws and regulations. And then that they're supposed to be the priority and an authority of how to define it. And just knowing that they have it to exist to be a sign of punishment and control and dominance. As a matter of fact, I should be talking about that too. nevertheless. They aim at providing man with an unshakable conviction based on logically derived understanding, given that it's thus that the power of the spirit is mobilized to fully act in the world. So there might seem to be a contradiction in the presentations of the laws of the glory of divinity as being based on logical reasoning. The contradiction exists only in the minds of people who have failed to understand the foundations of the so-called science of religion. Well, the divine didn't give us science, she gave us nature. The divine didn't give us religion, she gave us spirituality. So when you utilize those man made words and they are the ones who created them, then they are the ones who define them. And you best believe it's going to glorify their way and not the way of the divine spirit. So when I see the word science, I know to look to nature. When I see the word religion, I know I'm open to spirituality because that's what the divine is, a spirit. And those who acknowledge the divine does it in sincerity, spirit, and in truth. Okay, so the word science comes from a Latin word called is SCIRE. I'm not sure how you actually would pronounce that, but meaning to know. To know from whose perspective? Because the divine, even in their Bibles, there's a verse that says they call what they call science is so foolishly called. Um, I wish there was a way. Oh, I think I can do it on my phone. Because it's only, I think it's only mentioned one time in the Bible. The word science. At least that's all I've seen. Let me see. Hold on. And, mm, and let's see. SCI. Oops. SCIE. Science. Oh, it's mentioned twice. Okay, in the first chapter of Timothy, chapter 6, verse 20, it says, "Oh Timothy, keep that which is committed to you in trust, avoiding profane and vain babbling and oppositions of science, falsely so called." Right there in their own book, it basically tells you that what you call science is being foolishly called that because it's actually nature. But see, science is something that has to come up under the approval and the validations of man's way of thinking instead of the divine who created all things. So, and there's another one in here from the book of Daniel that says, "Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning in knowledge and understanding science." But actually, that would be understanding nature in the cosmos. And such as had the ability to them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. So it's only mentioned twice in their so-called Bible. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so actually the rules for determining something is truly known to oppose and exclude science from the spiritual and religious domain is to say that there is incapacity to attain true knowledge regarding the glory of divinity and the shaping of factors of spirituality and religion. So, this may be true of some religions, especially those that have been erected upon belief and faith. Oh, belief and faith. I don't know. For some reason, when I just read that, it sounded like he was in agreement with science instead of but just like they got the word God in there, which our ancestors wouldn't have that word. So maybe he's utilizing in his argument or his message to say science, but he should have been saying Mother Nature or nature. Um, no. But anyway, so it is simple if you can prove a point, especially with the certainty and provide by scientific method, then you wouldn't have to ask someone to believe or to have faith in your presentation. We do not say that we have faith or believe that combining two atoms of hydrogen with one of oxygen will result in the formation of water. We know I guess they just said that they know it will. So the erroneous argument that places religion and spirituality in a separate category from science, mathematics, and logic, belief and faith versus reason and knowledge would be fully refuted in the course of this book, my aunt, The 11 Laws of the Glory of Divinity. Now, keep in mind, that's my uh, abbreviation for God. Um, so I must have forgot I read this before, and I wasn't in agreement with a lot of stuff that I was reading on this page. It's starting to come back to me now, y'all. But nevertheless, the things that, as far as the 11 laws of the Metu Neter or the glory of divinity, I think I was attracted to it because it utilized the the um, ancestral acknowledgement of Kemet in reference to Amun and Asar, Tahuti, Sakir, Ma'at, Harut, Kahuti, Law of Haru, Law of Het Heru, and Law of Sebek, Law of Basat, and Law of Gab. So, nevertheless, so much for that. So, let's see. Now, this, to remember, the power to define gives us the power to control. So now I have like this symbology. Oh, we've been on here for 2 hours and 32 minutes and 42 seconds. And it's 12:03. Um, man, I want to because I have to get up in the morning. Oh, I want to. Yeah, so I'm gonna do part two tomorrow. Can everybody? Because there's only 5 of you on here. We did have 10 at one time, but I guess people have to get ready to go to work and everything. But if you can put what's the best time of the evening that will work for the majority of you, then I can start part two tomorrow and get into the actual um, A to Z apostasy behavior corrected in reference to how the divine, in a twinkling and a snap finger of time, had to take away what was hindering or what was a stronghold or a stumbling block in order for her to use me in the way that she's wanting to, well, that she will use me, us. Because I'm an example for what is for me is for we. So what I'm dealing with is what you would deal with, only from a different perspective, because we're all her remnant, but we have a different path, but the same goal and journey. So, if you can put down what would be a good time. Now I started, I think, at 9:30. Yeah, but I would like to actually start like maybe 7 p.m. Would 7 be a good time for everyone? And then I'll figure out how to, um, how you say it, how to do the split screen where when I switch over to another, oh, you said Barama Baba, you said 9:30 in the evening would be good for you? Okay. How is that for everyone else who's still here? The rule of law is a corrupt program. Divine law is what holds life together. Yes. Oh, yes. Niyama, Nura, 9:30 is a good time for you as well. Okay. So there's, oh, let's see. Somebody must have dropped off and came back in because now it's showing 6 people on the chat. So, okay, so I'll go for, um, no, wait a minute. Because 9:30, okay, 10:30, 11:30. Well, okay, so if I can at least get 2 hours in, starting at 9:30 and finish by 11:30, yeah, that would be good. And then I'm sure I'm still not going to be finished with this because I have like this book. I had to point out some things in this book. Uh, Beware. Okay, this is about the dog, and the way the divine spirit is going to allow me to break this down because one of my experiences in my unclean life was dealing with dogs, um, 2-legged and 4-legged. So, um, so that the divine spirit, when she teaches you about something, she makes sure you get like the full facts about everything. Why it's reason why certain behaviors is unacceptable, and then so everything that I will be bringing forth, what she delivered me from, will definitely be covered in detail, so you all know how the divine's ways is higher than our ways, and her thoughts is higher than our thoughts, and she's definitely um, going to shine a light on these things that are unacceptable. I guess that can't be done. I was showing up. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I think I just did. Oh, can you all still see me? I was trying to figure out how you make the screen smaller. I was able to, oh, but if I do that, then it cuts off. Let's see. Oh, that's trying to, oh, oh well. Can you see me? Yeah, because it looked like it's shrinking, but I did manage to get to it. I can see the back of the page, but I'm definitely going to have to work with this um, tomorrow. Let's see, I wanted to, uh-oh, let's see. Oh, it disappeared. It keep disappearing. Okay, just Okay, there we go. I have the Children of the Sun series. Children of the Sun series. I'm not sure. I haven't actually really Children of the Sun series. This sounds familiar, but again, it's not ringing a bell. Okay, so I'm getting ready to after I do one of my proclamations. This one that I'm gonna share with you all is actually, remember the movie Panther, Black Panther, and they had a reunion about 3 months ago at Clark Atlanta University, and one of the actresses I knew personally, Australian original. It said you probably missed out because of the time difference. Oh, so are you in Australia now? Australian original. Are you living in Australia now? I would like to know what time it is there now, because here it's 12:11 by Malachi Z. York. I probably. Oh, you're talking about the Children of the Sun series. Oh, okay. So we're gonna have to yeah, bring that forth together and learn how to have a split screen with a guest. And yeah, anybody. I want this to be a platform of um proper knowledge, insight, because none of us knows everything, but we all know something. And everybody is significant. And you are appreciated here, and there is no small voice, because whatever comes forth is significant and is worthy to be heard and to share, because everybody has a piece of the puzzle. There's one vision, but there's many pieces, and everybody's piece is significant, you know. And but I'm going to be doing a lot of footwork for the next 2 months. So, ooh, I hopefully the divine spirit, she would allow me to get home at a enough time so I can get my thoughts and my strength and everything together before I do this 11:12 p.m. What's 11:12 p.m.? Oh, let me see. Would have been midday here when you started back to work tomorrow. Oh, okay. So it's 11:12 p.m. Where? Um, Baramana Baba. What's 11:12? Oh, wait a minute. You're in Chicago. I forgot. So you're an hour. I'm an hour ahead of you. Oh, okay. Okay. I get silly when I start getting sleepy. Okay, but let me. Anyway, so I was asked because somebody heard one of my poetry pieces. So I was invited to create a poem that would focus on the empowerment and the upliftment of the melanated woman of the diaspora. And because the movie was actually about Sekhmet, because that's who the Black Panther is portraying, is Sekhmet. But they should have had a woman play that role. Nevertheless, So they invited me to recite a poem at their reunion gathering of the actors and actresses. And so this is, oh, that's not the whole thing. Okay, I'll just read what I have on this page, and then we'll close out. Okay, Chicago. Universe means one voice. Yes. Thank you, Baramna Baba. Okay, so here we go. Billy! Y'all remember that? Billy! Uh, we are kissed by the melanated sun of our Nubian skin and ebony and copper tone resurrection. We are the mother of all nations near and far. Our mere presence of our resilience astounds our enemies of our goddess brilliance. No longer of their patriotical dominant agenda of fulfillment. We are the mothers and daughters of descendants of the seed of a woman throughout ancient days civilizations of the Sibyls that no longer is hidden from the new millennium generations. The feminine mind of the universe does not travel in a hearse, nor buried in the dirt earth, as to suppress and cease of our existence. From her story to the conquering lioness, over the self-appointed his story reigns, and his religious and political false education, policies, and whitewashed genealogy. A cosmic book narrator spirit of oversight, believing in their ancestral spirit, could speak to us in spite of their hidden and symbology plight is truly in a spiritual oversight that benefits the African diaspora indigenous. The powers that be, considering they spent centuries manifesting in movie clips, the gender and racial scripts, did not do the trick. So to once again, Black Panther's reflection of an ancient female deity, comedic checkmate. Wakanda is not a fantasy palace. It is a workable, spiritually teachable, and achievable without malice and worship of the phallic. Yes, sustainable and maintainable when the wisdom of the Nubian Sibyl is the mind of the council enthroned of the home and the governing the palace. We are the wisdom speakers and with a panther of reasoning as we teach our male and female cubs how to hunt and roar. We're the nurturing of the cubs and the feeble wounded knees to assure they're safe and secure. We walk with our protector, the alpha male gatekeepers, the spirators of the pride of a human home, where only one queen sits on her throne. Separating pawns from the understanding of the use of sneakers, ready to pounce and devour intruders, the body snatchers and perverted peepers. We are the women of the enlightenment with the conquering zeal and excitement. We are Wakanda's woman future artwork, endowed with the birthright perks. We are the living, authentic, divine cleverness, set apart from artificial intelligence that has no divine relevance. We are the universe law and the principle, manifested as above, among the cosmos and below, among the African diaspora correspondents. Our way of diplomacy is the sacred spirit dance of unity that eliminates senseless casualties. We are the first and the last for life giving and sustaining. Without there be us, none remaining. Our grace and beauty is beyond household duties, and we are the woman of intuitive skill that isn't learned in the compounds of public school bells. We are the first eye in the five senses that teach and defines our mother's nature medicine that keeps our family in harmony and balance without willingly dietary sins. nor the validation of the colonizer's health miseducation. We are the utmost supreme earthly love that protects, provides, and counsels and comforts from within and out of our body alone. No need for woman to try to be equal with men, for we are a womb above all men that has the power over their existence. Our emotion is the essence of our uniqueness that brings all into the completeness. From the protection of the womb, the nurturing, sustaining our breast, to our counsel of knowledge that give understanding, that our household and monarch be wise, confronting and that embrace, comforting that embrace our body with a caring warmth like the sun. Therefore, we are for signs and seasons, wonders and miracles of life giving words and deeds, nation building, that the ancient and the present patriotical builders rejected, because we are the true wise fruit of the cosmic elected, unconquerable with divine flair. Nothing can compare with our Wakanda natural mind, body, soul, and spirit, art of the warrior heart glare that takes the enemies into a snare, with a Wakanda panther hunter of lies and glares, that catches our enemies in a perpetual snare. Now is the season to be in reason. Shall be continued tomorrow, because I can't find the second page. Okay, I just want to thank you all again for being here. Thank you to coming to the summons of my first live. Um, what do you call this? I'm not going to call it no show because it's not an entertainment. So, platform of proclamations and salutations and divine education. So I thank you all for being here and hope to see you all tomorrow. Pass the word around because I don't know how to actually get it out there so the whole YouTube family knows that I'm here. I guess, and I have like over uh, how many unsubscribers? I had to find out how many subscribers, and I have to find out how you go about sending a notification to the subscribers. Um, but nevertheless, I really appreciate you all being here. And hopefully, we'll finish this series by, well, I got jury duty on Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Don't you all know I was actually supposed to have been in jury duty on July the 16th? And I just came across some old mail like 3 days ago and to find out that I missed jury duty. And then I Googled what's the consequences of missing jury duty. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting ready to go to jail. They get ready to send a warrant out for my arrest and everything. And then I was like, Divine Mother, you know I was innocent. I had no idea um, that I had this jury duty summons in my midst because it normally comes in an envelope, but it was like kind of like a postcard type of thing that was um, caught up in between like the ads, the advertisement papers. So anyway, long story short, I called them and it was not such a nice guy. And I was explaining to him the situation. And so I was like, so what are going to do now? Y'all going to send the police or warrant out arrest or what? But he said, no. He said, I got something that you can do. And I'm like, well, what is that? He said, you can just come and do jury duty on Wednesday. And like, are you serious? He said, yeah, I got an opening for you for Wednesday, but you gotta show up. You gotta show up this time because this will be strike two, and they're not playing any games. They will come and get you. And I said, okay, well, put me down for Wednesday. So I'm definitely going to do my jury duty. And I get called for jury duty, and I've only been sent home one time, but the longest I've been in there was like a week and a half. Normally it's just for a couple of days, but I actually spent the whole week and a half one time. That was a nice looking surprise check. Nevertheless, thank you all. Australia Original, thank you for being here. And Baramana Bahava, thank you, sis, for being here. Nehemiah Nura, thank you for being here. And I hope to see you all again. Let's see. Alex, she must be gone because I haven't seen. Well, how many people? It says five. Let me see. One, two, three, mm, four. Yeah. Yeah. Some people might have left already, but okay. So 9:30 it will be for tomorrow, and I'll send out to notice, and I will figure out how to make double screen and see how you go about the phone call, how to get call ins, because I don't see anything on here, but I'll Google it and be prepared tomorrow. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your ear. And may you all continue to have your eyes be anointed that you can see and perceive the present time of eternity and our responsibility and accountability at this time. May your ears be anointed so you can hear and understand the instructions and the directions of our divine mother's commands. And most importantly, may your hearts be anointed to be receptive of the divine things that you hear and see, and you receive it so you can apply it and multiply it so you can bear fruit in its season and to stay smothered and covered in divine protection, provision, counsel, and comfort, and the embrace of an unconditional, everlasting, eternal, divine love. Until the next time, see you tomorrow. Yeah, no, know how you. Oh, it says end. Well, I guess I don't know how to cut it off. Okay, let's see. It says end stream right there. I don't know. Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure. End.